I've always made it my mission to shine a spotlight on not just the companies Wall Street wants to hear about, but also the ones that you home gamers want to hear about. I think that's fine. Which brings me to the metals company. It's a deep-sea minerals exploration play that's seen its stock jump more than 400% this year, helped by an executive order in April by the president that gave this industry a much-needed regulatory framework. While the metals company might be too speculative for some of you, it's the kind of stock that maybe can appeal to younger people or people who are less risk-averse investors. It's hard to argue with something that can quintuple in just 6 months. So let's take a closer look with Gerard Barron. He's the chairman and CEO of the metals company to learn more. Mr. Barron, welcome to Mad Money.
Jim, what a pleasure. Great to see you.
Well, thank you for coming on. Now, first, sir, I know I read a very strong endorsement about your company from an analyst who's both my friend and I think is excellent, Daniel Ives, who was talking about really the possibility of some very big things. So what I want to do first is give you the floor to tell the story, because if a fellow like Dan Ives likes it, I got to know it better.
Well, thank you. So we're all about opening up a new source of critical minerals, and we hear it every day. It's one of the most important geopolitical issues on the agenda. But 70% of our planet is covered by ocean, yet we don't get any metals out of the ocean. And on land, we're pushing into more and more pristine ecosystems, known as our tropical rainforests, to develop these critical minerals. And of course, the problem with that now is that they come with enormous environmental impacts, and they're generally controlled by the Chinese because they have been working with a much forward-facing perspective. So we're focused on picking up these polymetallic nodules, like the one in my hand. And in an area about 1,000 miles southwest of San Diego, they literally sit on the ocean floor, just like this. And on our license areas, we estimate we have about 2 billion tons of those. Now, they're really high grade of nickel and copper and cobalt and manganese. And most of your viewers will be familiar with probably copper. Now, if I put all of the nickel and cobalt and manganese into copper equivalent, we're more than 7% copper equivalent. And with more than 2 billion tons of resource, there is no other resource on the planet that compares in size or quality to this one. Now, of course, being the first is exciting. It comes with some challenges. What we've been doing recently is moving through the permitting process. In 2022, we showed how we can collect these at commercial scale. We attracted world-class partners.
Right.
We recently took
including a Korean company that is very big and has a great deal of money that gave you a lot of money.
I know. How lucky are we? Outside of China, Korea Zinc are about the only company that can help us integrate an important part of the refining step. And of course, one of the reasons why Korea Zinc decided to make this investment is because they want to have more access to the US market. They want to have a bigger supply chain in this critical minerals arena. And of course, they also need a lot of critical minerals for their own business back in Korea. And so I think for the last many years, we've been talking about bits and we've been talking about AI, but now it's time to focus on atoms. Because if it ain't wrong,
but we should point out that for many years, there was a regulatory regime that was unclear and would make you a lot less bankable until President Trump did pretty much say this is an imperative. And it looks like that you're well ahead of everyone else in fulfilling the imperative.
Indeed. In fact, for 14 years, we've been pushing this project forward. And when the president was elected last November, much of the cabinet that he chose were people very familiar with us. They'd been big supporters of ours while in opposition. And so we decided that now was the time, given the president's priority to focus on reindustrialization. We knew that he understood the critical mineral issue, and the cabinet he chose understood our issue. And they understood how this resource could solve the problem. So in March, we announced that we were going to permit, not through this international organization that unfortunately can't get its act together, but instead through the United States. And if we cast our mind back 50 years ago, American companies led the development of this resource. It was only when the United Nations got involved that things slowed down a bit. And America has full entitlement to go and pick up these nodules. because sovereignty of the oceans is open to everyone. You can traverse them with shipping, you can collect the metals on the bottom of the seafloor, you can lay cables. Now, 169 countries went off and signed a treaty known as UNCLOS. America never signed the treaty. In fact, they've been a persistent objector to the treaty. And so in 1980, America put in place the regulations, including for exploration and commercial recovery rules, that allow us to move forward.
Okay.
And it was really the success of the election that gave us the confidence.
It's very clear that this is something that the president wants. Now, I do want to make the point, you've raised money. There will be people who will listen to you, and they'll say, you know what, I want in on this. And I understand that. I mean, because if we can get these metals, it's huge. In the same way that MP Materials, that's a company that people are excited about. Which means that if it jumped up, would you feel that it would be the right thing to do an equity offering and have people come in? Or are you confident with your cash position?
We are very confident with our cash position. We announced that we finished the quarter with $120 million in the bank. Plus, we have undrawn credit facilities of more than $40 million. And we've really focused on getting strategic investors. We took a big investment from the Hess family in June, just before we announced
That's the Hess Oil Company. You have someone on the board from Hess. You have venture capital people on the board who are very well qualified. I mean, there are many reasons why I believe that this could be a great company. I just want people to understand, and I'm sure you do too, to understand that it's risky.
Well, I don't see it that way because it is pioneering. But that's the exciting part. I mean, we need to make critical minerals and ocean minerals sexy again. And we can do that because, the engineering challenges that we have solved in the last 14 years, both onshore and offshore, are exciting. And of course, people are excited about space exploration for a variety of reasons. I want to bring that excitement into ocean exploration as well. And the fact that we can pick up these critical minerals for a fraction of the environmental impacts compared to land-based. And of course, they also solve one of the biggest geopolitical issues that we hear everyone talking about today. And so I don't see it as risky. We proved how we can, pick the nodules up at commercial scale in 2022. We've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on environmental research to show the impacts and to show the fast rate of recovery. And those environmental dollars have been spent with 20 of the world's leading institutions. We funded them, but they were free to go and do their work. And, we're very, very confident that this is the best thing we can be doing from an environmental perspective.
All right, well, we have to leave it at there because we've got the rest of the show. I will say this. There's ample research about you, many articles about you. Dan Ives at Wedbush has done a very positive piece. So I want people to do the homework, but I understand that it seems not risky from your point, but I always have to say, it doesn't have revenues. It could be a long-term thing, but things have broken your way, and I'd be wrong if I didn't say that. The president wants this to work. I want to thank Gerard Barron, the chairman and CEO of the Metals Company. I'm sorry, I wish I could give you more time because it's a fascinating story. We've got so much going on, but it's great to meet you, and thank you for coming on Mad Money.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
It's been an honor.
Mad Money will be back after.